Welcome to Mesa Public Schools, #OneTeamRally. Would you please stand for the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Red Mountain High School students. Thank you to the Red Mountain students for sharing their talents with us this morning. Now, that's just one example of all the hard work that goes into the teaching and learning in our district and the wonderful outcome of talented young people. We really appreciate you being here today with us. My name is Pete Lesser, and I'm the Associate Superintendent for the district, and I'd like to welcome you back to a new school year and for participating in our #OneTeamRally. Good morning to all of you. First of all, community support is critical to the success of our school district, and we are fortunate to have many partners that work together with us. Some of them are here today. I would ask our guests to please stand and be recognized, and their names will appear up on the screens. Thank you for being partners. It is apparent that teaching and learning is very important to our greater community in Mesa. All right, well, Mr. Tom Kelly is going to get this party started this morning. Let me tell you a little bit about Tom. For over 30 years, Tom has served as the spokesperson for U.S. Olympic ski and snowboard. He has had the honor and privilege of experiencing 10 Olympics and being present in the finish area for over 75 Olympic medals. In his work, Tom has experienced the importance of building a team environment to support the accomplishments of Olympic dreams. I think you're going to enjoy his message today about teamwork, goal setting, and celebrating success. Let's give Tom a warm Mesa welcome. Thanks, Tom.
Good morning, everybody. I got to tell you, I have given a lot of talks before, but this is the first time I've come in with a marching band and cheerleaders. So thank you, Red Mountain High School. That was pretty cool. How's your summer been? And are you excited to be back here and ready for school? Yeah, that's right, it was a little bit louder. Well, I am indeed honored to be here today. I've had the privilege of working with some amazing individuals with our Olympic ski and snowboard teams over the years, and I think there's a lot of things that I can convey to you to help you here in your district. A couple of questions to get things going. First of all, do we have any skiers or snowboarders in the group? Got a few? All right, good, good. And here's an even more important question. How many of you in the group are educators? How many educators do we have? Okay, good, almost everybody. It should be every hand. And I want to tell you a little bit about this because that's the theme of one team. Whether you're in transportation, food service, front office, administration, athletics, teacher, maintenance, wherever you work, you are all educators. You all influence the lives of the young men and women and boys and girls in Mesa Public Schools. So when you leave here today, if your hand wasn't up as an educator, think of yourself as an educator. This is a picture that I love to share. This is Josh Christensen, Olympic gold medalist from 2014. Walking down Main Street in Park City, Utah, his hometown, those 8, 10, 12-year-old boys touching his medal and looking up to Josh. I don't see just one gold medal there. I see 2, 3, and 4 in the eyes of those young boys. This is a young man they know. They know Josh. They've skied with him at Park City. He's the kid next door. And now they're walking down Main Street with him, and they're building dreams, and they're establishing goals in their minds of what they want to do. They want to be like Josh. He's their role model. And this is what you guys do too. You're role models and you're leaders, and you're the ones holding that gold medal up for those young boys and girls to touch. I'm going to do a couple things today. We're going to talk about characteristics of champion athletes, some of the attributes that they have and what's made them successful, things that you can take away into your schools and into your classrooms. But even more importantly, we're going to talk about the value of working as a team. One team, all together, all for one. I want to also take a minute to welcome everyone on the live stream on YouTube today. Great that you could join us here in the Mesa Convention Center to learn a little bit more about this concept we're introducing to Mesa Public Schools. You are a part of one team. When you look at the athletes in this image, there's 31 athletes. Some of them have skis, some of them have snowboards, some of them have ski jumping suits to fly, some of them have thin racing suits to go fast. There's a lot of diversity in that picture. And we figured out that if you bring all of these disparate groups together as one team, collectively, you're going to have some remarkable success. I want to take a minute to reflect back on the Olympics in Pyeongchang. How many of you watched the Olympics from Pyeongchang a few months ago? Yeah. Any big heroes or stars? Who are some of the names you might remember? Shaun White. Anybody else? Michaela Schifrin. Others? Those crazy guys that went up in the air. Red Gerard on opening weekend going up in the air. It was an amazing Olympics. Some of the things that struck me there, first of all, the friendliness of the people. We're in a foreign country, very different, not accustomed to holding events like this. Amazingly friendly people, and the athletes and the volunteers and everyone together as one. One of the most poignant memories for me from Pyeongchang was the participation of North Korea. Now, I'm a student of the Olympics, and I really believe in the Olympic ideal, that this is a time where we set conflict aside and we come together on an athletic playing field. And that's what happened with North Korea. This is the North Korean Youth Choir. And it just did my heart proud when I would look up in the stands and I would see this group in Pyeongchang. It's what the Olympics are about. I want to take you back in time to the origins of the Olympic Games. They go back to 776 BC. And what's interesting to me is if you think about everything in our world today, There's very few things that have maintained constants like the Olympics. 776 BC, Olympia in Greece. Every 4 years, warring states would set down their arms and come together on the field of play. They would contest for laurel wreaths in a variety of competitions. This is the actual starting line in the stadium in Olympia. You think back to thousands of years ago, the athletes from around Greece who came together on that starting line, looking at the finish line in the distance. And that's remained pretty much the same today. Now, in 393 AD, the Olympics went away. But an historian by the name of Baron Pierre de Coubertin from France knew about these ancient games, and he wanted to bring back these same ideals and traditions, and he did that in 1896 in Athens, and they packed the stadium in Athens, Greece. Thousands and thousands of people there to watch the athletes contesting their sports in the stadium. And I love to tell this story of an American by the name of James Connolly. Now, James Connolly was a student at Harvard. He was a track athlete. He knew about these new Olympic Games, and he went to his supervisors at Harvard, and he said, "I'd like to take a leave of absence to go to the Olympic Games." Nobody really knew much about them at that time, so the folks at Harvard said, "Well, I'm sorry, James, we can't give you that leave of absence." But this was important to him, so he left school. He left his studies at Harvard, he got on a ship, and he and his teammates, they sailed to Athens. And they'd planned this out to arrive a few weeks before the games and do some training, and the ship pulled into the harbor in Athens, and they looked around and they were amazed at how much activity there was, given that the games were still a couple of weeks away. Little did they know that the Greeks were on a different calendar, and they had actually arrived the night before. Kind of crazy, okay? It's like their iPhone didn't update. But it didn't matter. They went out the next day, and James Connolly won the triple jump, and he became the first modern Olympic champion. And he said, "I was the first Olympic victor in more than 1,500 years. It was a moment in a young fellow's life." 1,500 years. By the way, the good folks at Harvard later bestowed an honorary degree on James Connolly, Olympic gold medalist. Now for me, my Olympic path started in 1960. I was 7 years old in Madison, Wisconsin. I'd never heard of the Olympics. I'd never seen skiing, but Mom put the Olympics from Squaw Valley on television. And I'm this little 7-year-old, and I'm watching it, and I think, this is really exciting to me. And I mention this because when you're a young boy or girl and you have these dreams, you can aspire to anything and you can get there. My goal was never to be an Olympian, but my goal was to tell the story of the Olympics. And I took that moment back in 1960 and parlayed that into some amazing opportunities. And I love this sport. I'm passionate about the Olympics, and it all goes back to that first Olympic memory. So I'm curious, do any of you have a first Olympic memory? Just shout it out. Nadia Comaneci, 1972, Montreal gold medal, perfect 10, and we're going to talk about her in a minute. Anybody else? Mary Lou Retton, what was that one in the back? Jesse Owens. That's an amazing story of Jesse Owens, the Olympics in 1936 in Berlin. If you ever have an opportunity to go to the stadium there, it's really emotional to think about what Jesse Owens did as a black man in winning those gold medals in front of Adolf Hitler. Others? Haley Mills. Protopopov. So, okay, we got a lot of them. Thank you. I can't hear all of them. But it's, just think back to your first Olympic memory. And I think that's why it's such a part of our culture here today, because we have these memories of these great athletes that we saw on television. They're the kids next door. So I want to translate this a little bit to what you do here in Mesa Public Schools. This is a simple roadmap to success. Now, it's easy to put this on a screen and put it on paper, but these are the basic steps that we followed in our organization, US Ski and Snowboard, to achieve success. First of all, you need to have a vision. A vision is where you're going. It's a lofty place. It's out there. And if you want to achieve a vision, you need to write it down and you need to put it on the wall. You need to see it every day, and you need to know this is where we're heading. This is our destination. Your mission is your roadmap to get there. That's like taking out the map and figuring out which highway do I use? What things do I do in order to get to that destination? Along the way, you need to measure your progress, and that's goals. You measure your progress with goals. And one of the other important components here are values. Values are how people perceive you. It's what you stand for. Values are super important. Now, this is what we did at US Ski and Snowboard. Well, actually, first, this is what you're doing. Mesa Public Schools has a vision of unprecedented excellence in education. That's your vision. And that's a great place to get to. Unprecedented excellence. Now, to do that, you have a mission, and that's your promise. And your promise for every student in Mesa Public Schools is that that students are known by name, served by strength and need, and graduate ready for college, career, and community. That's your mission, and if you accomplish that mission and you measure yourself along the way, you'll achieve that vision of excellence. This is what we did at US Ski and Snowboard. In 1997, we weren't a very strong organization. We'd gone through financial turmoil. We had kind of good results, but not really. We really didn't have any direction as an organization. So we had a new leader come in, and he brought us all into a room. We did the 75 sheets of Post-it notes up on the wall, and we came up with a vision. And that vision was to be the best in the world in Olympic skiing and snowboarding. Now think about that. Best in the world. That's a pretty lofty goal. We were ridiculed for a while about that. A lot of us didn't really know, what does this really mean? Can we really be best in the world? We were a long ways from it. But we kept it up on our wall, and we looked at it every day. We made business decisions every day based on that vision. And it took us a while. But 13 years later, in 2010, we achieved it. And here's a graph of our medals over time, based on Olympic medals in skiing and snowboarding from 1924. It's kind of flat, and then all of a sudden you can see in the late 90s it starts to rise up. We hit that pinnacle in 2010, and we went to Vancouver. And on the first day, we won 2 medals. We won another one on the next day, another 2 on the next day. All of a sudden, we were rolling. We started looking at each other and said, this is what it's all about. 13 years later, we understand what vision is about. We're achieving this vision. We won 21 medals and 7 gold. That was more than any other team, and we were truly best in the world. We worked hard for the next 4 years, because once you achieve a goal, the hardest part is staying there. You've got to work harder to stay on top. So we went into Sochi 4 years later, 2014. We won 17 medals, 8 gold. We were not best in the world. We were number 2. So we doubled down, worked harder. We went to Pyeongchang. We won 15 medals. Pretty good. 7 gold. But again, we weren't best in the world. We were number 2 again. It's hard to stay on top. But we're now one of the most competitive teams in the world. And it all emanates back to that day when we came up with that vision and then chased that vision. I want to talk to you about some of the attributes of these great athletes. How many of you in this room have failed before? Yeah, every hand goes up. That's good. One of the most important elements of success is failure. It's being able to learn from your mistakes, but more importantly, having confidence in your preparation. If you've prepared properly, you're going to ultimately succeed. You may have some roadblocks along the way, but you're going to get there. This is the story of Kelly Clark. Kelly Clark, in 2014, 4 years ago, was in her 4th Olympics. She had won gold, she'd won bronze, and she'd finished 4th. Pretty good record, actually. And she came in as one of the favorites in Sochi. But this was her day on the half pipe, crashing. In training, she crashed every run, hard crashes. In qualifying, she crashed on her first run, qualified on her second. And then with 3 runs in the medal round, she crashed on her first 2, hard, punishing crashes. And she was sitting in last place going into the final run. She had 2 teammates in gold and bronze position. She had 1 shot to do it, and she did it. She found her way onto the podium. She won the bronze medal. Her teammate, Caitlin Farrington, won the gold. And she said afterwards, part of being prepared alleviates pressure. And I knew coming into tonight that I had done the work. Success is faithfulness. I worked hard in every way. I could not have been more prepared. It was a huge accomplishment for me to be on the podium today. If you prepare, you may have roadblocks and failure along the way, but if you truly prepare, you're going to see it through to success. And your students are going to find that success as well. Determination. This is the story of Nikki Stone. Nikki's from Boston. She competed in the freestyle aerials event, and that's the one where they go off this big jump and they shoot 65 feet in the air and they do a couple of flips and 3 or 4 twists and hopefully land upright. Now, she won that in 1998, but her story is an interesting one. And I want to start by how she got motivated to become an Olympian. And it goes back to Nadia Comaneci in 1972. So Nikki was 4 years old, little girl growing up in Boston. Mom and Dad put the TV on the Olympics, and she watched the gymnastics. And she watched Nadia Comaneci score a perfect 10. And boy, Nikki, little 4-year-old Nikki, she was motivated. She went out and got a milk crate, brought it into the living room, put the milk crate down. She went out and got some ribbon from her mom and some kind of a medal, and she kind of linked them together. And she practiced standing on that milk crate and putting a medal around her neck as a 4-year-old. Okay, how many of you've seen that in the classroom? You see that kind of dream in the eyes of your students? That was her dream. She wanted to become an Olympic gymnast. She was not successful in becoming an Olympic gymnast, so she switched at age 12 or 13 to freestyle skiing. And she worked herself up to being best in the world. But in 1995, as a world champion, 3 years before the Olympics, she had a back problem. She went to the doctor, and the doctor examined her and said, "Boy, Nikki, I'm really sorry. You have a disc problem, and you're not going to be able to ski again, and I'm sorry your Olympic dream is over." And she was crushed, but she did what any determined young athlete would do. She went out and found another doctor. And she found another one after that, and it took her a while, but eventually she found a doctor and a strength coach who told her, "Nikki, it's okay. You do have a back injury, but I think we have a strategy that we can employ to give you some strength training, build up the muscles around your disc, and give you an opportunity to chase your dream." Now, there's going to be some risk involved, but she was diligent at it. And I watched her for several years train at the Utah Olympic Park with other Olympians, working in the gym, going out into the training pool, doing flips all summer long. And she got back, and the strength program really worked. And she went to the Olympics in Nagano, and she won that gold medal. And if it wasn't for her determination in chasing that goal, she would never have gotten there. She said, "It's okay to have fear, but it's not okay to fear the chance to try." I learned this lesson from my grandmother, who said, "The brave do not live forever, but the cautious do not live at all." A determined young athlete who found her path, found ways to have that success. And she's now very active in the Olympic community, living in Park City, Utah, and raising her family. Versatility, having a plan B. Now, you have to have a plan, but you also have to be willing to modify that plan as roadblocks and circumstances come in front of you. This is the story of David Wise. David won the gold medal in half-pipe skiing in 2014, and he actually won it again a few months ago in Pyeongchang. This was the night of his competition in Sochi. It was horrible. It was a raging blizzard, it was windy, it was a wet snow, and when this snow accumulates in the half-pipe, a number of things happen. First of all, it slows down the half-pipe. And when the half-pipe is slower, you can't get as much speed. And when you can't get as much speed, you can't get as much amplitude or height. And if you don't get enough amplitude or height, you can't do as many flips and spins. So David, between the qualifying round and the medals round, went to the coach and he said, "Coach, you've got to get this canceled. This is not good for our sport. I can't do the run that I'd planned. You got to get it canceled and let's come back and do this tomorrow." And the coach looked him in the eye and said, "David, in an hour, they're going to give out a gold, a silver, and a bronze medal. And it's up to you if you want to chase that dream." So they sat down, they scrapped his plan. He had an amazing run that he'd been working on for 4 years. They threw it aside. They put together a new game plan. He did tricks he hadn't done in years, much more basic. But he went out and he won that gold medal because he was willing to be versatile enough to change his plan and adjust to the circumstances that were presented to him. And he said, "I've had a Sochi run on my mind for a long time that I really wanted to throw down tonight. But you guys will just have to wait to see that one. I'm really proud of free skiing tonight." It was interesting to watch him a few months ago in Pyeongchang. Much like Kelly Clark, he crashed on both of his first 2 runs. And it was an interesting situation because he actually came out of his binding, so he lost a ski. He cranked him down for the last run, and he won that gold medal. But an amazing athlete. I want to talk about Shaun White. And to me, this is a story about rebranding. This is Shaun White coming back from a very disappointing Olympics in 2014 to winning gold again, his 3rd gold medal in the halfpipe. Rebranding or changing your whole plan really requires confidence. You need confidence to change your approach to something. So this was Shaun White 4 years ago. He dropped out of one event, the slopestyle. He was afraid of the course. It wasn't going well for him. He stayed in his primary event, the halfpipe, but this was how his night turned out. Unlike David Wise, he didn't change his routine when the weather came in. He didn't have the speed to get up out of the pipe. He couldn't put down the tricks that he had planned. And he crashed hard onto the edge of the halfpipe and finished 4th. It was a tough day for him. He changed up his whole program after 2014. He took a retrospective look at himself. He looked at the people that he had surrounded himself with, and he changed everything. And the first thing he did was he changed up his coach. And he went back to a friend who had, ironically, an athlete who had beaten him out of a spot when Shaun was 15 years old in 2002. J.J. Thomas beat him out on the last run of the last qualifier, so Shaun did not get to those games as a 15-year-old. J.J. went on to win the bronze medal. So he got J.J., and he built an entirely different camp of people around him. And when he came to Pyeongchang, he was a completely different person than he'd been 4 years ago. He wasn't kind of the aloof superstar. He was a part of the team. He did everything together with his teammates. He had an amazing coach who really counseled him, and Shaun had confidence in that coach to take his counsel. And he won that gold medal in one of the most hard-fought events of the Olympic Winter Games in Pyeongchang. And it took that amazing run on his 3rd and final try to get that gold medal. It was a really proud moment for him, and those tears that he cried were genuine tears. He said, "I had to find the love of the sport again. My will was really tested. After I won, it came rushing back. I broke down. All of those struggles were worthwhile. putting that medal on again, representing the USA, to be an Olympian again. I'm so proud and thankful. He rebranded himself, he did it differently, and he achieved his goal. It's about partnership. This is a story of Phil and Steve Mayer. And they were great alpine ski racers in the 80s. And at the 1984 Olympics in Sarajevo, on the very last day, Phil Mayer won the gold medal, and his brother Steve won the silver. Now, the Mayer brothers were an interesting set of athletes from Yakima, Washington. They were on the U.S. ski team, but they also did a lot of stuff on their own. They weren't really as closely knit with the team as some athletes are today. And on the day that they won that event and finished first and second, they were looking forward to the medal ceremony. It was going to be their personal celebration. It was about them. It was about two brothers. It was about their family. And when you ask Phil Mayer about this, even today, 30 plus years later, he still tears up when he thinks about it, on what lesson he learned that day when he went up to get his Olympic gold medal. And they went to the medal ceremony that evening, and the flags are behind him, and everybody's cheering. And he stepped up on that podium, and he says, as I heard the anthem and saw the flag being raised, all of a sudden I realized that this wasn't about me at all. This was about all of the people who helped me get here. He finally realized that. It takes team, it takes a partnership, everyone working together. Team is about leveraging success. I'm going to talk about our women's cross-country skiing team. We're not historically a very good nation in cross-country skiing. If you go back 10 or 15 years ago, we really had nothing going at all. We had one athlete, Keegan Randall, who went to the 2002 Olympics, and she finished back in the 40s. But she was motivated, and she stepped it up, and by Torino, she was top 10. And the next year, she won a World Cup competition. So we had the start, we had the seed, and a few others latched onto this. And as we got out to 2010 and that time period, we started to become a little bit better. We at least weren't an embarrassment. We were better, and we could see it in our sights. Now, the relay event involves 4 athletes, and Keegan Randall was our star. She was our superstar. So when she was in the relay, everybody had this confidence. But there was one day a few years ago where she was sick. So the other girls had to go in that relay without their star. But it didn't bother them. They had the confidence in what Keegan had taught them. And they have this little routine they do in the morning. They pull on their relay socks, these red, white, and blue relay socks on the outside of their uniforms. They put on the USA face paint, and they put on glitter. They bond as a team. And they went out there that day and they finished 4th. That was an amazing finish. It was the best ever for that team. And they did it without their hero, without their star. And that just built confidence in them. And there's a lot of things that go into making a successful team. And one of the things that these women and their coaches have worked hard at was defining the difference between good friend and good teammate. Now think about that. You pick your friends, so you choose them. You choose your friends and what you do with your friends. But when you're on an athletic team, you don't necessarily choose the people around you. They're given to you, and you've got to deal with it. And it's a big difference. And the coaches don't expect that all of the women on that team are going to be good friends, but they do expect they're going to be good teammates, that they respect each other, that they help each other, that they support each other. They do the things to be successful as a team. They don't expect them to go out and have fun together, but they do expect them to be good teammates. And in the relay event, when there's 4 people who are chosen, with this team, there's usually 3 people who are not. And one of the most important things the coaches have identified is, for those people who have the disappointment of not being involved, how do we make them the biggest cheerleaders for the team in the event ahead? So in the 15 hours from the time that the relay team is named until the competition takes place the next day, How do we get those other women to feel that they're a part of the team and everybody's working together? This is a photo of Ida Sargent in the yellow. She's what they call the fifth leg. She was a woman, in this case, who didn't make the team that day. But her job during that race wasn't on skis. It was to be on the sidelines and cheering on her teammates and being very much a part of their success. It's also important to surround yourself with strength. Keegan Randall came along. Others surrounded her. She elevated them up. Jessie Diggins came into the team. She elevated more people up. And all of a sudden, what started as one athlete has now blossomed to 6, 7, or 8 athletes who are competitive internationally. That's how surrounding yourself with strength can work. This is Keegan Randall and Jessie Diggins. They made history at the Olympics in Pyeongchang. There were 5 women who could have been named to that 2-person relay team, and it went right down to the wire for the coaches. It was one of the toughest decisions they've ever had to make. So when you're that close to it, you can't really tell, did Jessie get across the finish line first? And when you saw Jessie on the snow and then Keegan Randall came and jumped on top of her, the first thing that Jessie said while looking up to Keegan, she said, "Did we just win the Olympics?" Yes, you did. A few years ago, the French team came to us and they said, "We've noticed how you work well together as a team, and we would like to come to one of your training camps in the US to see more about how you work as a team." And we said, "Well, yeah, you can come. It's no big secret. It's actually fairly organic, so you're not going to take anything away that will harm us." So we invited them. And Jessie wrote this amazing blog piece that really describes what team is all about. She said, "This is not an individual sport. It's a team effort, and it takes a lot of people working together. You need coaches, wax technicians, teammates, supporters. But you also need all of these people to be fully committed to each other and the team. What makes our team so successful is that every single member is committed to being a team player and working hard at it. That's what one team is about. And as you have that success, you need to celebrate it together. When we won medals in Pyeongchang, a lot of us were privileged to be there. But we had a lot of our staff back at home in the office. We made sure that they were every bit a part of the celebration as we were in Pyeongchang with the athletes. Whether you're an accountant, front desk, marketing, building maintenance, whatever it is, you're a part of this. In your public schools, when your debate team from one school has success, it should be cheered on by the football team. As one school has success, it should be applauded by other schools in the district. You are one team working together for the success of the students in Mesa Public Schools. I want to leave you with one more story. This is a picture of a celebration after Chloe Kim won the halfpipe snowboarding event in Pyeongchang. And you see Chloe on the right. On the left is Ariel Gold, who won the bronze medal. In the middle is Ricky Bauer, one of our coaches. And the athlete with her back to you is Kelly Clark. Now, after the second of 3 runs, Kelly was in the bronze medal position. In the final run, her teammate, Ariel Gold, beat her to take the bronze, and Kelly slipped to 4th. And it was a bitter disappointment for Kelly. But Kelly's a great teammate, and she's a great mentor. Both of these women meant a lot to her. So she was there to support them and to applaud their effort, despite the fact that inside her heart was breaking. That evening, we had a little ceremony, and the medalists were able to present a little medal we call the Order of Ecos Award. Ecos was the first coach back in ancient times. And this award is presented from an athlete to a coach. But Chloe Kim had a different idea. As she looked back into her young career, she was only 17, she knew that the person who had really made the biggest difference for her was Kelly Clark. So she decided to surprise Kelly Clark and present her with that Order of Ecos Award. And Kelly stood up in front of everyone, a tear in her eye, And she said something that to me really typifies what team is about. She said, if your dreams only include yourself, then those dreams are not big enough. Team is about everyone. This is the opening ceremony at Pyeongchang. If you look into the eyes of the athletes, you'll see happy faces, fresh, well prepared. They've trained for a lifetime. There are no winners or losers in this picture. Next Wednesday, August 8th, 66,000 students will walk through the doors of over 80 schools here in Mesa. All of you will be there to greet them. This is your first day at school in this picture. How will you lead these young boys and girls, these young men and women? How will you give them the opportunity? Do it as one team, and you'll make their dreams come true. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom, for sharing your wonderful experiences and inspirational thoughts, and for getting us started on our #OneTeam journey together. Your message that the team always results in more than any one individual contribution is very powerful to our organization and student success. Tom, I've now made you an honorary member of Mesa Public Schools. Congratulations to you. Unfortunately, we are not putting you on the payroll at this time, but you are an honorary member of our school district. Now, as you know, we have a new superintendent. If you don't know that, the only reason might be you've been out of the country for the last 4 years, or 4 months, all right? In a moment, you're going to see her and hear from her, but I want to share a few things with you first. During my work with her over the past several months, I've come to appreciate some of her exceptional qualities. She has been a teacher, an elementary principal, a high school principal, a district director, and most recently, she spent 5 years as the superintendent in Park City School District in Utah. She is experienced and very familiar with the work that stands before us. She is a lifelong learner who was always searching and looking for those best practices that will enhance student learning. I know that she's got a sense of humor, and we all know that a sense of humor can be very helpful in the work that we do each day with our students. She also has a 4th grade student that will be attending school in Mesa Public Schools. So she sees the work we do through the eyes of a superintendent and that of a mother. She is focused and fearless in doing what is right for students and is committed to high levels of learning for all students, regardless of what school they attend or what community they live in. So please join me in welcoming our new superintendent, Dr. Ember Conley, to the Mesa Public Schools family as she offers her thoughts on our journey as one team.
Well, good morning, Mesa Public School District community members. I don't know about you, but every time that I hear stories of Olympians, I get this feeling of pride and excitement and hope. And every time that I have the opportunity to hear Tom in particular, he gives me a sense of what we can do together as a team. So to get this started, we're going to do a little exercise. You've been sitting for a while. So we're going to do what we call the Mesa Public Schools Pride Call. When I say, "Who are we?" you're going to stand up and you're going to say, "One team." Okay, are you ready? Who are we? One team. Okay, some of you kind of got it. Go ahead and sit back down. We're going to try it one more time. Here we go. Who are we? That's what this is about. Thank you. Dr. Lesser, thank you for that wonderful introduction. In a very short time, I've learned a lot about my immediate team. Dr. Lesser has a definite quick wit, a lot quicker than mine, deeply respected in our district, and has become a true support and trustworthy team member, so thank you for that. As he introduced me, I am the new superintendent for Mesa Public Schools, and I stand before you with humility and honor. You know, when we started getting ready for the back to school, I said, you know, I want to do like a rally. I want to get everyone together and let's welcome everyone back. These are like 2 of my favorite days of the entire year. Crickets. Do you know what it takes? Remember, we're big. I said, oh, how hard could it be? Let's get the center. Let's do it in one shot. Let's have music and balloons and a great speaker. Well, now 5 sessions later, we are now doing it. It is a true honor to represent you. We are known across the state and the nation as a beacon of excellence. We live up to our vision, unprecedented excellence in education. We are one of the 50 largest school districts in the nation, and we're doing great things together. Now, as we go through this morning, and as we conclude here in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about our vision, our mission, which is our promise that every student in our school district is known by name, served by strength and need, and graduates college, career, and community. Which brings me to the people that are here today. Team takes a lot of different kinds of people. We have an outstanding community. So thank you, community members, this morning for being here. Also, we have a wonderful governing board. I've had the opportunity to work with 3 different governing boards in 3 different districts. And in Mesa Public Schools, I can tell you this about your governing board, as they represent the community at large and have the interest of the district in their hands. They are caring, they're dedicated, different. They bring love and joy to the work that they have, and they're stable. You can't ask for any more in a governing board, so thank you for them being here today. So, you know, as Tom Kelly shared, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how Tom and I know each other, Park City, Park City. He has been an inspiration to me because he really understands that it's not just Olympics, but it really can be transcended across all of our organizations. That great team takes up great people. And as we look at the work set forth, we can be that gold medal team that's behind that athlete because we have everything within our power. So, you know, I've had the opportunity now to learn a little bit about the district. And one of the things I've learned is that we do a senior survey and we get about 1,000 responses from students about a former teacher or a staff member. And I want to read some of these to you today. These are from our students. Bush Elementary's Janet Cox taught Charity how to get along with others and to find out what I love to do. She inspired me to follow my dreams. Even now, I still think about the lessons that she taught me. Gabriel, I know, these are so great. Gabriel said Red Mountain High School Sergeant William Savage took a man with no direction or motivation and helped shape me into a man that I am today. My Red Mountain Junior ROTC instructors changed my life for the better. Austin fondly remembers a Falcon Hill Elementary custodian who was supportive of my dreams and very insightful. He was a great guy and a good friend. Jose remembers Cynthia Lieb from Porter Elementary saying, I love this. This is when the hooping starts going back and forth. Jose remembers Cynthia Lieb saying, I was a troubled kid. She put her foot down with me and never gave up. She helped me mature into the person I am and changed my life for the better. Thank you. Thanks to you. These are just a small representation of what kind of team it takes to get a child truly graduated. It's all of us. It's the person that's in our health office putting a Band-Aid on. Woo, yeah! Who are we? Okay, good job. Okay, let's do it again. Who are we? Awesome. So not only is it the health assistant putting the Band-Aid on, it's also the custodian that's keeping our classrooms and our schools clean. It's our maintenance crews. I was out walking just a few days ago and walked by our neighborhood elementary, which again, all of you are lucky because I do believe that Johnson Elementary isn't in, is Johnson here? No, it's fourth session. Because Johnson is the proud school of the superintendent's son. It's every principal's worst nightmare. So I was walking by the school, and it was very early because, as we all know, with the heat. And I look out, and I'm thinking, what is going on at the school? And so I'm getting ready to get on my phone and figure things out. And it's our crews already out there preparing for the school year. That's the kind of team that it takes. And it's so evident in Mesa Public Schools. Which I want to share just a few things I've noticed about you. There is a tremendous pride in our district. And that pride comes from a community that believes in public education, that believes in the power of public education. Love you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are a little more awake than the 8 o'clock session. Woo, yeah. So what is our vision? Where are we going? So some of you have already heard, and I'm going to say that you're going to know it really well by the end of the year, and we'll probably have to do skits and lip syncs around it to see who has the best one. But we're dedicated. We need our third graders reading by third grade, right? They've got to be there. Our 8th graders need to be proficient in math. By 11th grade, our students need to be fluent in speaking, reading, writing, and listening in English. Yeah, I hear my English teachers. And graduation, 95% graduation rate. We have got to get our kids graduated in that 4 years. And I know we can do it. And how do we do it? We do just what Tom shared with us. We build our team. We become strength where others are weak. And I know, looking around, the hardest thing to do is to be a dedicated team member. So I want to talk a little bit about how do we get there. Well, Helen, would you go ahead and put the lights on for a minute? Thank you. This is a time that I get to embarrass my principals. So if you're a principal, go ahead and stand up. Stay standing. So I also know there's okay, stay standing, you're not done yet. There's like an underground communication channel with principals of, be ready, she's gonna call on you. They did it in the first session. So here's what we're doing. In order for us to reach those goals, those aspirational goals, we're gonna use a framework called professional learning communities. We're gonna learn together. And it's based on 3 big ideas. Principles, I'm going to say the first big idea, and you're going to tell us what that first big idea is. So I hope that you make me proud, because we've now spent weeks practicing. Okay, so here we go. First big idea. You guys are so good. Focus on learning. Second one. Build collaborative teams. All right, collaborative teams. Woo! And the third one. Right, so focus on learning, build collaborative teams, and focus on results. Good job, principals. You can sit down now. Yay. As educators, focus on learning comes pretty naturally. Focus on results comes pretty naturally, especially in the age of accountability. But building collaborative teams, that's the secret sauce. And it's not just the teachers that we have to be concerned with. It's every single person in this organization that we have to be building that collaborative team so that our students are gold medalists. So as we leave today, I'm going to leave with the last remarks from our students. There's Red Mountain High's Alex Munoz, who Tara says, believed in me when I did not believe in myself. According to Olivia, Las Cindas Elementary's Marie Lombardi helped me gain confidence in math, science, and social studies. She influenced me to further my education at ASU and helped me become the student I am today. For that, I will be forever grateful. And finally, Emma, who says, since entering the special education program in preschool for a speech impediment to graduating from the International Baccalaureate program, Mesa Public Schools has provided me with the tools, motivation, opportunities, and most of all, employees necessary for my success. It's all of you. It's all of us. Who are we? We are. So as we leave today, I want to say first of all, thank you. I am humbled to stand before you as the superintendent and to serve you, our community, and our students. So, I want to encourage us to dig a little deeper, to rely on each other, to be that person and that team that our students need. And right now, we have 66,000 students that will be back in our buildings on Wednesday, and we need you to welcome them back. It's been my honor to stand before you, to welcome you back to this amazing school district. We're going to have a great year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Conley. What an hour we've had. Thank you for joining us today for the Mesa Public Schools #OneTeam Rally. Please exit through the doors to your right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great school year. Go Mesa, #OneTeam.